Hey Ceema, did you bring bread?
Oops, I forgot. Sorry.
Where's your phone? I've been trying to call you.
Oh, I left it at the cafe.
And did you call Niharika?
I totally forgot. Sorry. I forgot. How many of you use this phrase 100 times every single day? Frankly, this phrase, I forgot, is overused. And you've got to stop using it. However, what are the other phrases that we can use? Well, there are several other ways to say I forgot. And today's lesson is going to show you what you could use instead of saying the boring I forgot. You could instead say, I am drawing a blank here. Now, when do we use this? A lot of times when you are giving a presentation or narrating an incident, all of a sudden, your mind goes blank. And that is when you can say, I'm drawing a blank here. This is a much better phrase to say instead of, I forgot. Or you could say, my memory seems to be very evasive. Now this word, evasive, it basically means that it is hard to catch. Right? So if someone's running away from you, they are being evasive. You cannot catch them because they are getting away. So your memory also seems to be evasive. So the next time you forget something, don't say I forgot. You can say, my memory seems to be evasive. I have another very special phrase for you. It goes like this. It completely slipped my mind. Okay, there are a lot of things that we don't remember because there's so many things that we have to take care of every single day. Like, I forgot to buy bread, right? So what happened to me? It completely slipped my mind because I had other things to do, right? But I won't say I forgot. I will say it completely slipped my mind. Now, another very interesting phrase to use, you could say, I seem to have the memory of a goldfish. Okay, this is a really funny phrase. You know why? Because a goldfish, believe it or not, has a memory of only 15 seconds. Can you beat that? That's a rather short memory. So when you're kind of making fun of yourself, you can say, oh, I seem to have the memory of a goldfish. And that's a really cute way and a very interesting way of saying, I forgot. Now, another very nice way to say I forgot is, I just can't jog my memory. So jogging your memory is like refreshing your memory. Okay, so as I mentioned to you, we have so many things that we need to remember and we can't seem to remember it. So if you can jog your memory, it basically means you cannot refresh your memory. Here's another phrase we could use. You could say, I completely blacked out. Now let me tell you that blacking out is actually a serious health issue. So there are some people who go through a lot of mental trauma or physical trauma because of being in an accident where they have periods, a long period of time where they don't remember what happened to them. That is called blacking out. Let's say you fall unconscious, you black out. So don't use this unless you really had a mental or a physical trauma because of which you can remember. Okay, so that's when you use blacked out. The other interesting phrase would be, I think I'm having a memory lapse. Okay, again, there are some people who are older, like maybe in their 60s and their 70s. They seem to have a memory lapse. Again, this happens with age. Okay, and if you think there are some people who have this problem, you could say something like, he's probably having a memory lapse. Okay, another nice phrase to use. But I want to give you something more interesting. So you could use, I can't seem to get it off the top of my head. Now, this happens to everybody, right? Like I said, we all have so much of things to do every single day, and it is impossible for people to remember every single thing. And therefore, you can say, I can't seem to get it off the top of my head, which means it's not the first thing on my mind, and that is why I could not remember. Okay? All right, let's look at some other ways. We could say, I'm afraid I can't remember or I can't recall. This is a very straightforward way of saying I forgot, which is something you must use if you don't want to use the other fancy ones. The other one would be, I wouldn't remember even if my life depended on it. This is a very sarcastic way of saying that you have a hopeless memory. I mean, there are certain things that I can't remember, like math problems, for example. You could teach me all day and I wouldn't remember, even if my life depended on it. So this is a sarcastic but a really interesting way of saying, I forgot. And then we have, I can't take a trip down memory lane. So memory lane is basically your past, and in order to remember, you've got to take a trip down memory lane. But unfortunately, when you forget, you can say, well, sorry, I can't take a trip down memory lane. I have another very interesting expression for you, which is, I hope I'm not suffering from amnesia. Now, this is only a joke, okay, because this word amnesia refers to a mental condition, a deteriorating mental condition where a person loses their memory in their old age mostly. So when someone's suffering from amnesia, they even forget who they are. So when you're saying this, it's only a joke. You cannot use it on people who are actually suffering from amnesia. Okay, so you can say, oh, I hope I'm not suffering from amnesia. It's a joke, a very sarcastic way of saying, I keep forgetting. Okay, so these are the really interesting and very funny expressions that you can use and you must use the next time you forget. I hope you don't forget to use these expressions. Okay, so I'll be back with some more lessons. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep using new ways to say I forgot.